Welcome one and all to the full experience. This is an experiment to find out how many television shows can we feel like we are literate in by only watching 4 episodes of their entire run. We watch the first, the ultimate, the lowest, and the last. Ultimate and lowest determined by IMDb ratings. And we are finishing up our watch of Bonanza with episode 15 of season 14, The Hunter, which first aired on January 16th, 1973. I'm Tom Merritt. He's Brian Brushwood.
Hey, man. So first thing, did you notice that they sped up the theme?
No, I didn't notice that.
Yeah. Like it literally, they play it like, let's just get this over with. And then also,
boy, like, NBC wanted Bonanza out of there.
Well, I did a little bit of poking around on that. The reason it got canceled was just that the ratings fell off a cliff after Haas died.
Yeah.
And
he died in 1972. And then, you know, this airs in 1973, but all the scripts for the 1972-73 season had to be rewritten from scratch because they all had Haas in them.
Yeah. Well, and so the first thing I noticed was I had to double check, and it turns out that the theme did get sped up, but just kind of near the end. And then the opening shots, because they wanted to have less time taken up, the staging so different, right? You could tell over a decade passed from that first episode to that last one. They had these luxurious, like, here's a character standing awkwardly a couple seconds longer than they should. Whereas this, it was just like name, action shot, name, action shot, name, action shot. It was unrecognizable. And I don't know about you, Tom, that opening with Tom Skerritt looked like a legit movie. The production quality much closer to your $6 Million Man, Incredible Hulk era. Like it bridged the divide. You could see the beginning of the DNA of Little House on the Prairie, of movies brought to primetime television. It was really, really neat. I liked it a lot.
They were informed by 60s and early 70s cinema. You could tell, and Michael Landon wrote and directed this one again. And you could tell that they were like, no, we're going to do this right. We're going to be visually interesting. We're going to do some of the trends that are in film at the time. There was no cold open either. I got used to like little cold open, little shtick, and then into the theme. And then we're off and running. And again, Dan Blocker dying, I think probably cut this short. I don't know if we get Michael Landon as Pa on Little House on the Prairie. We might have gotten Bonanza running into the 80s if Dan Blocker had not died. I wonder.
Yeah. Well, and I think that...
And I say that because Gunsmoke kept running after Bonanza got canceled. Gunsmoke started before Bonanza and kept running after. They actually did this same episode. They kind of used that plot. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and some people say that they remade this episode as a Gunsmoke episode, but that's not accurate. Both of them are just homages to the Most Dangerous Game.
Yeah, exactly. It is an interesting take on Most Dangerous Game. I love the sad Frere Jacques as our theme that Tom Skerritt is coming.
Not only that, but there's some interesting production things. First of all, the Frere Jacques, I think was, there are whistling, both sides whistle, but whenever we go to the jaunty whistle of one of the Cartwrights, it's some kind of version of Americana. I think there was like a Yankee Doodle-esque one or something.
Camptown Ladies.
What. Yeah, there we go. But Americana versus, again, it's French, but again, it's kind of vaguely exotic. And they also, it would get discordant. You would notice that near the end, they always played an off note in there, and then the arrangement wasn't quite Frere Jacques underneath, the orchestral arrangement. I was really smitten by the production lifts that they made.
No, I agree. The directing, the production was great. I liked the characterization of Mr. Tanner. Because
speaking of which, that opening scene where he's not just locked in a cell, but he's in his own head and you hear voices or whatever, they withhold what war or whatever. And keep in mind, 1972, there's only one war that everybody's still freshly smarting over. So it was an interesting riff
from that time period anyway, right?
Yeah,
like he clearly was not in the World War II or World War I eras, so there's only one other one left.
Well, no. What I mean is contemporary, they were able to riff on, kind of like MASH did.
I see. You're talking about the Vietnam allusion to this. I hadn't thought about that. You're absolutely right. It's kind of stupid of me not to, right? Like that is ringing through everyone's ears in 1973.
Along with people coming home damaged. They mentioned, like, 100%. Did you have to kill all the people in that village? And
that is clearly a Vietnam reference, because that was one of the biggest issues was, the killing of innocents and the, napalming of villages and all of that. I can't believe I didn't even put that together. That seems obvious now, but good catch. I liked the characterization of him as a cold killer, in the sense of if something's in his way, he kills it, right? But he's not going to kill the dog. Like they make a point of like, he makes sure the dog has food and pets him, and is like, you're not a problem to me. Just these people would have been a problem. Like, very calculating.
Yeah, I think if it had the runway of a full feature-length movie, they could have given us just a little bit of, I don't know, if nothing else, some internal logic to his killing, something closer to what. Like,
I felt like they were trying to take us to a place where this was his way of getting a deserving death. Like, he obviously had a death wish, and he only felt like he could die if it was in the hunt that he had been trained because it was a duty or something. I'm not sure we ever really got there. I felt like that's where we were going, but I'm not sure we arrived.
Another thing, this is Tom Skerritt. Within 5 years, he's doing Alien. He's a leading man, and you could tell he's got that prime momentum happening. I think he does a fine job for what they had for him to do in this. There are some times where the set pieces get a little bit talky because of budgetary reasons, but I thought it was fine. You get 3 little in trouble vignettes with Michael Landon.
Yeah.
First, trying to, he gets somebody killed by trying to buy a horse. And then again, he injures himself. And then finally he has the all is lost moment. And then, eventually it's a fairly rudimentary trap, but what are you going to do? It's Bonanza.
It's a rudimentary trap, but the point is that Joe never falls for the trap and tries to kill Tanner. He locks Tanner in for his own good, and then Tanner dies of a heart attack, apparently. So justice is served by God, not by little Joe.
Yeah. It's interesting because when we do the full experience, we don't usually always know whether or not this is a show that died of starvation or died because the story is over. In this case, it died because Dan Blocker died. So it ends on a fine episode. I'd be curious to know whether or not this one was written after his death as a way to not have it feel so empty of Haas.
Yeah, possibly. It's a good shot because Landon wrote this and they had to rewrite a bunch of scripts. And this one was the second to last shot. It was not the last one that they shot, but it was the second to last. And they didn't know that they were canceled when they shot this episode. They didn't know they were canceled like a day or two before they shot the very last episode, which was the episode before this one. So we didn't watch that one.
So that's interesting. So then it becomes, now I wish I could peek into the eyes of the programmers to decide that this is going to be the canonical last one to go out on.
Yeah, I wonder if there was even a lot of wiggle room for that, or if it was just, the editing took longer on this one, so they had to push it a week. It's hard to say at that era or with any of this, but really, really interesting. I gotta admit, I was way into this 15 minutes in. And then after that, I did start to get bored.
Yeah. Yep. There is pacing wise. I wonder if that's a same.
Yeah. If that's a problem with the era and the medium. In other words, if it was a more modern production value on a big screen with the HD, would I have been more captivated? Is it a problem with, I've seen this story before, so it was a really interesting way of getting me into it. But then once you're on the chase, you kind of know where it's going. But then
the first 15 minutes were electric.
So
and then
good. Yeah.
Really after that 15-minute mark is when it really is like, you get it. And I'm like, yeah, unfortunately I do.
Unfortunately, yes.
I do. And you don't really have much more to bring to it, do you? Okay.
Yeah.
After the first 15 minutes, it becomes a workout video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of
Michael
running.
Landon sweating to the bullets.
He's 35. He's 35 when he shot this episode.
Yeah.
He looked gray and like 45 or 50 maybe.
He looks like this. So when we first started watching like the first couple episodes, I didn't see Michael from
You
the
didn't see
Angel
Paul,
show, right?
Yeah. Our Highway to Heaven.
Highway to Heaven.
Yeah, Highway to Heaven. In this episode, I saw him from Highway to Heaven. Like it was just the difference was very, very stark.
Yeah. What else did you think about this one, Amos? In addition to our thoughts here.
I was running late on time and I watched it at 2 speed because on YouTube because it said it was an hour and 26 minutes long and I had 45 minutes to watch it. Turned out they just looped it a couple times. So I actually just watched it in 20 minutes. And I was already bored once the run started to happen. I was like, okay, this is gotta go. I think it was interesting that when we first started, they were in the forest a lot. Like there's always trees, always dense forests. Even in the intro in this one, there's pretty good forest.
I was watching that where I read that as like leaning into the Vietnaminess of it, even though it's a different locale. Oh, we also saw at the beginning of it, they're very leaning into almost Pacific Northwestiness of it, whereas with the speaking Spanish or whatever, it felt closer to Lonesome Dove down south.
Yeah,
but that's more how it's presenting, not that
they shot it in Arizona too, which to me was odd because the Cartwrights are supposed to be in Nevada, California border area, right around Tahoe.
Well, I think that's purely expense, right?
Yeah.
Just
I guess I would have thought they would have shot it in California, right? Like somewhere around LA.
I thought for sure they, looking at some of those previous episodes, they're definitely in California.
Oh yeah. And that's why at first when he's at the place where he created the trap to catch Tanner, I was like, man, that looks really familiar. I wonder if it's that park I went to in Panorama City. And so I looked up the locations. I'm like, nope, these are all Arizona locations. They really wanted it to be deserty, I guess, which Nevada has, and maybe just Arizona had better facilities or whatever at the time.
I would say almost all of this episode could have been recorded. It could have been filmed in Palmdale, California.
Sure.
Like it had that feel of where I grew up, the rocks I was climbing on when I was young and stuff like that. And the little creek they were near, I was like, that looks like Little Rock Creek, So yeah, it was
that initial. Sorry to jump in, Amos. I just don't want to lose this thread. Some production things that are very, very different that we wouldn't have seen when the show began in the 50s. The whole first person view stuff running around when he does go on the run. I am certain that there were deliberate stylistic nods to Cool Hand Luke, where you could see the influence of, the 1960s were a golden age of cinema. And oftentimes as cinema has the innovation and then TV is like, that's fun. Let's try that too. And I got vibes of that during this. Yeah.
And some of the sound design felt like The Prisoner. I don't know if you guys have ever watched that. It's a UK show, but there was some of that sort of like, especially the voices in his head kind of thing, was very similar to that.
Yeah. Honestly, I was pretty impressed that he was doing the tracking shots, the running in boots. Like that's just in the desert. That's pretty talented.
Okay. Two stupid things that don't in any way denigrate this episode. One, why did he put his splint under his clothing? He's going to rub himself raw. Come on. Use the sleeve.
No. He was using the sleeve to help support the sling because just using the belt wouldn't have done it, even though he didn't need to because he clearly used his arm to push himself up several times later.
Yeah. Also,
and then second of all, when he asked the guy with the horse for a gun, and the guy's like, "Oh, I live out in the wilderness with bears and lynxes and coyotes, but I sure don't have a gun to protect myself from them." I was
he literally said, "I've never had one." Like,
yeah. I just talked the coyotes and jaguars into leaving me alone. It's fine.
Yeah. Me and my lone horse.
Yeah. He's old fashioned, people lived in the wilderness before guns, by golly. And so does he.
Yeah. The more we're talking about it, like it really did fall off a cliff after that first.
It really kind of did. Yeah.
Yeah. The setup was really good. Just getting into the story and having it tell the story the way that it told it, with him having the voices in his head and we never hear what he was sentenced to, we just hear that he was sentenced. Little things like that, like little trails in there that kind of keep you interested. And then once he started actually chasing Michael Landon, it was over.
Yeah. I don't think we got a really good conclusion to Bonanza here. I think we got a really good, interesting bottle episode and a look into Michael Landon's creativity. But, I also think that, that's how it ended. So that's probably fair.
Yeah, Pa's still doing his taxes or his inventories or whatever.
Ben Cartwright can't do math. That's what we learned. It was It was good that we actually got Lauren Green, because that open, I was like, who are all these people? I know Ben Cartwright and I know Little Joe, and he's not even Little Joe anymore. He's just Joe. So
he's just old Joe.
Yeah, he's gray-haired Joe. Any other thoughts on the final act of Bonanza?
No, it's a bummer. Like finding out the story of the loss of Dan Block.
Unfortunate.
The world was robbed of a proper ending to what I thought was a surprisingly interesting watch.
It's more sophisticated than I expected.
Yeah.
Given the it's Bonanza. Just cowboys.
And it was forward focused in its production at all times. Like when you see that first episode, you're like, well, that's better than I expected from the late 1950s television.
Right.
And then at the end, it's like, well, that's better than I expected from 1972 primetime television.
Yeah.
And all three, so we had the pilot episode, which was, interesting. All three of the episodes we watched after that were episodes like that were trying to give a message of diversity and like understanding, like empathy for other people.
You're right. Even like mental illness, PTSD stuff.
Right.
And you had the other religions kind of thing with the lady and the that going on. You had this with the PTSD and the coming back from war, and then the one with the racial issues. The second one we watched, like all of them had that kind of like this moral high ground that they were trying to push forward just a little bit, just a slight little nudge in that direction. I thought that was very interesting. I did not expect that from the show at all.
Yeah. Oh, so I got another lens to look at this. How did we feel about this one? Resides in a strange place where the easiest way to watch it, we suppose, I don't know if it's exactly precisely ethical, but it does appear to be legal. They're all on YouTube. How do we enjoy the YouTube watching experience?
I kind of wish more shows were legally on YouTube. Honestly,
I tell you, it's pretty simple.
It was so.
There's a reason you got all those millions more people watching NFL on YouTube.
I didn't have to worry about what TV I was going to watch it on or logging in or anything, because it's just YouTube. Like you don't even have to log in to watch it. Like it was just there. Yeah, and that's pretty rad.
Yeah. I could switch from my phone to my TV, which you can with the other apps too. I know, but it was just easy. Maybe I just know how to use YouTube better than some of the other apps, but they weren't trying to trick me into watching something else.
Right.
There is a downside. I did notice I had mild frustration because there was no consistency of quality, and there was like random watermarks that showed up on some of them. It felt like a walk on the pirate side in a way that I hadn't done in over a decade. Yeah, which was interesting.
I imagine this episode is a little better to watch. The Hunter is better to watch in full resolution than the kind of washed out colors that we were seeing.
Yeah.
I don't know. The copy I watched was really rich in color, but it repeated itself 2.5 times. So
I should have watched that one. Yeah. All right, folks. Well, that wraps us up for Bonanza. The full experience is concluded once again successfully. And we are ready to announce our next watch. If you'd like to watch along with us, we are going to watch the recently concluded series, Yellowstone. So we're going from 50s, 60s, early 70s Western to teens, 20s Western. We will start with the first episode, Daybreak, which aired June 20th, 2018. Then we'll get into Half the Money, Desire is All You Need, and Life is a Promise. But once again, kicking off Yellowstone next time with season 1, episode 1, Daybreak, which first aired June 20th, 2018. You get these episodes earlier if you're a patron. Go sign up, patreon.com/Cordkillers. Lots of good perks there if you do. And we will talk to you for the Yellowstone Experience kickoff next time.